Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a little unboxing and a product review. Please stick around to the very end. You'll want to hear the final outcome as we try to add new depth to the channel. This is Jeeping Mo. So we wanted to add a few things to the channel. Okay, good sign of some of the things that are in here. So what this is a Thermodynamics Cutmaster 40 plasma cutter. Right, so we're going to add a few options to the channel. Plus, I love doing fab work. It's my background. So it's pretty nice. It's a 110 or a 220 unit. So new torch head. Never used a plasma cutter, so it's going to be somewhat new for me as well. But it's got to be better than all the disc or the sawing I've had to do lately. Right, so there's the torch. And there's the little plasma cutter. The Thermodynamics Cutmaster 40 is a 110 or a 220 unit. I've seen videos where they've cut up to an inch, not very well. I think its mainstay is around the ½ inch is where the sweet spot is. Okay, so let's see what's in this little baby right here. So Baker's Gas had a big Black Friday sale. Shout out to Baker's Gas on that. They're not sponsoring this, but someday, you never know. So, a little box of consumables. So we looked at several units before we made the decision to go with this. So it's the Rebel 205 multi-process welder. But it's multi-process. Okay, so let's look and see what all is in this. So it's got some hoses. Got the TIG set up. So what kind of torch is this? Alright, so we got a TIG set up. It's already got some tungsten with it, that's nice. Alright, grinding clamps. So foot pedal, that's nice. Comes with a spool of wire, which we're going to need that. So since this is a dual process, it'll need two regulators, one for the gas, one for the argon, and one for the C25 gas. And then the main torch. So one thing nice about the that Rebel 205, it's got what they call Smart MIG on it, and you can actually get your initial settings, dial up your thickness, and then it'll start the process for you, and you either keep it or fine-tune it from there. Right? So that's kind of a nice little gauge right there. Hope the glare is not too bad. Okay, so we got the machine out on the bench and got all the power installed. According to Baker's Gas, they said 40 amp breaker. So we ran a number 6 wire to it, and that's rated for 50. So that should be good. That's bigger wire than what the power cord is. Still got to build the cart, so we got the Argon and C25. I just got those, tethered to the bench. If you got tanks, make sure they're at least tethered, right? Little chain on it. Everything I've seen, and I've used other guns before, you got to make sure it's seated all the way. So it should come in and pin in as you put it in the front. When you put the knob in, you should be able to feel it. So when it's tight, if you back it off a little bit, you should be able to feel it in the slot. And I want to get this oriented so that... So one thing nice, Esab does a nice job with, they give you this big setup guide. Alright, so the big setup guide for MIG, TIG, and stick, they do a really good job with it, kind of going through each process for you, going through the setup. They do a really good job with the MIG, setting up the rollers, setting up the gas valve and the MIG. I have already checked. So one thing nice about this, if you want to change your wire size, you just undo this and it'll show you on here. One side will say 30, one side will say 24, and I have another set of rollers for 35. As you hit the selector knob, you can go through all the processes. So it has MIG and what they call Smart MIG, SMIG. And what's nice about that is the SMIG, if you hit the button select it, you select your wire thickness and your material thickness, and they give you a nice little gauge for that. And then if you do a little bit of a test piece, it'll tweak it in, and if nothing else, it gives you a good start point. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to regular MIG, and if you want to change your settings, if you want to change your wire feed or your voltage, it's right there. But with the Smart MIG, you can give it a base, and if it senses it needs more, it'll give more. If it needs to back off, it'll back off. It'll stabilize out, and you can elect to save them or not. It's always nice to just go through everything. Right, so that's one thing you have to switch. When you go to TIG, you have to switch your ground, and obviously your TIG torch goes into the negative. All right, so let's finish getting this going. Okay, so we got wire coming out. So that just fits in, and it's held on by the nozzle. Alright, so let's get the gas set up. So first thing first, clear the threads. I'll have to mute that on a little bit. And then, now if this is tight where you got to force it, stop. You should just go in finger tight. 1 1/8 wrench. Snugs it up. It doesn't have to be stupid tight. Just crack it with it. Just blow the crud out of it. Try to get these as close to vertical as you can. Okay, so the back of the machine, they've done a really good job with MIG symbol, TIG, spool gun. It's all right here. So they do a really good job. Now when you tighten these up, make sure you have a wrench on the fitting and a wrench on the hose. Let's get that on. Okay, so let's start out. The first one, we'll just try the SMIG. So it tells you, give you this little gauge. Right? You just see where you're at as far as thickness. Should be 3/16, and that's what it's showing. Right? 3/16 is what we're going to call it. Okay, for the Smart MIG, we just come into menus here. We got MIG, Smart MIG. We set our wire, and then it'll give it a material thickness here, right? So we know that from the gauge it's 3/16 material. If I need a little hotter setting on the 3/16, I can give it a little hotter setting, but it's going to take it. I'll show you why. And then I can, how do I want the weld to look? A little raise, a little deeper. It's going to set it a little hotter, a little cooler. I can elect it, you know, how do I want that fillet weld to look? So it'll take care of that as well. So I'm going to set the camera up, and you're going to see as I'm welding, it's going to be adjusting the settings to try to get the optimal weld. Now I can elect to save those settings, or I can go back to MIG and I can just dial them in myself. So it's whatever you really want to do. It gives you a lot of versatility, and the nice thing about that is if you pull up on a material for the first time, do a little piece, it'll dial it in pretty fast unless you have a bunch of presets. So let's see how this looks. So standard, and then this is the one where I actually went a little bit, I think it's supposed to be a little hotter. I think I would have tweaked the settings a little bit more. That fan on that machine is quite loud. So this is the one we just ran with the, should be the hotter setting. And then this is the first one we did, which I think I kind of like that. Let's see how they penetrated. So it's hard to see. Right here is where the hotter one should have been. It definitely looks like it might have got a little hotter on the backside. I think there was good penetration either way. And you've seen how it manipulated the settings. Okay everyone, so to do the final review on Esab Welder, MIG functions are great. Smart MIG, it does a really great job on the DC TIG. Really did a great job for us as well. And the AC TIG was doing really good. So one thing you might see missing over here. So the last day of this video, we were doing some AC TIG and started acting up a little bit. Then all of a sudden the AC function totally stopped. We wouldn't even light the torch. Right? So Esab has a great return policy. You can return it if you don't like it. They'll replace it, whatever you want to do there. And they've got a huge backlog right now. So we bought the unit through Baker's Gas, who's been great to deal with. And we've elected just to send back the Esab unit. We've had a unit for about a week now, and it's already having issues. It might be a fluke, may not be, I don't know. But my past has told me that when stuff pops up this early, I typically will just send it back. I've suffered through it in the past, and well, it has never really worked out for me very well. Not to say the Esab doesn't make a great welder. There's a lot of good things out there, a lot of good reviews out there. I'll just say for me in this unit, it didn't work out. So we are sending the unit back, and we are bringing another unit in. We're not going to have a big formal unboxing like we did for the Esab, but I'll show you the new unit. We've got several projects planned. We've got some workbenches, and we've got a really nice countertop and drawer assembly we got planned to build for the Jeep, and that was going to be the next project. Now I have to wait for the new welder to come in, so we have to reorder a couple things. I know hopefully that's the type of things you guys want to see. But that was going to be a all aluminum setup for weight purposes. Right, so we'll show you the new welder when it comes in. I think you'll like it as well. But if you like this type of content, please check out some of the other videos that pop up. And Remember to like, subscribe, and share. And if you guys have anything you want to see built or done or anything, please let me know. Always remember, we got shirts and merch as well. Just support the channel. That's it. So we'll see you at the next adventure. This has been Jeeping Mo.